Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I decided to make a channel to talk about retiring with nothing saved, nothing in the bank, no 401k, and kind of what that looks like. And I know that a lot of people, especially people that I know, this is kind of what retirement will look like for them. I've grown up in a blue collar family and have been blue collar my whole life. And um, so it's an uncomfortable subject, but I think it's one that needs to be talked about and explored. I know that there's a lot of channels that talk about, is $1 million enough to retire with? Well, yeah, dummy, it's enough. um, so basically, how it's worked for me is I did some time in the Army, and unfortunately had some issues that have earned me a small disability check. So, um, I'm at 50%, so that looks like about 1,400, just under $1,500 a month. Um, and that will continue for the rest of my life. But the good part of that too is that it also includes VA health care. Good, the good or the bad, because if you deal with the VA, especially at the hospital, it's hard to sometimes get in and be seen, but it's free, so you get what you pay for. um, I think, especially for my age group, Gen X, we were, we heard about retirement and saving for retirement and having a 401k and all of these things. But for me personally, I never had one. I've been self-employed most of my life and just got to the point where it's like, if I continue working the way that I am, by the time that I do retire, I'm not going to be able to enjoy my life. And being 48, I could have 20 years, I could have 30 years left. It's not guaranteed. So I just decided that enough was enough, and it's time to find out who I am after having raised my kids, and now I'm an empty nester, and try to find out what brings me joy in this stage of my life. So, I want to talk about, there was a song, Too Much Month at the End of the Money. That's a true story. So I do small things to bring in a little bit of money. I have a couple of people I clean for. I do things like Spark Delivery, and Instacart, but I'm not like crazy about it. If I need, like $20 that morning or whatever, I'll just go do one delivery. It's not like I'm out there for 8 hours a day. I don't have that in me anymore. But here are the things that I have learned, having retired. I would say it's probably been like 8 months or so. There are things that I can live without, and there are things that just aren't important to me anymore, that like maybe they were once important but they're not anymore. I'm not concerned with like keeping up with the latest fashion or having brand new shoes all the time. What I have will suffice, and it's good enough. I don't have to go out to eat at fancy restaurants. And just the idea or the thought of having to go out and get all dolled up. It's uncomfortable. I don't, I just want to I want to wear my t-shirts, my jeans, and my tennis shoes. And I don't want to have to wear makeup. And that was something else, just sitting in front of this camera, thinking maybe I should put on some makeup so that, my face doesn't offend people. But you know what? Who cares? I've been around the sun enough times that I've learned that other people's opinions of me really, at the end of the day, they don't matter. I remember after having my third child and gaining weight, just from having had 3 children, in like quick succession one after the other, thinking, I'm going to have to, before I do anything or, put anything on social media or talk in front of people, I have to look a certain way. And as you age, like those things start to go away. So that's kind of where I am, is I just want to live the rest of my life authentically. And, I may not have extra, but I have enough. And I kind of wanted to create a space where those of us who didn't have everything together prior to retiring, we can kind of collectively, offer each other advice and share ways that we're making it work. When I was younger and I thought about retirement, I often thought, oh my God, whenever I retire, I'm going to have like so much time to go travel and go do things. But the reality is, I don't have the energy to do that stuff anymore. Before I had kids, I would work like 2 and 3 jobs at a time. And I think I lived so much life so fast when I was young that it maybe made up for not living so fast on the back end. So I know that, not everybody is going to be able to retire with all of their stuff together. It's just, that's not how it works. And there needs to be a space for those of us that had to hit the ground running, right after high school, or maybe didn't even have the opportunity to finish high school because you had to hit the ground running. Personally, I moved out between my junior and senior year, and halfway through my senior year, had to drop out because I had to work. And, whatever that is, or whatever that looks like for you, just know that it's okay. And like, people can judge, but at the end of the day, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your family. And that's the great thing with getting older, is you just really don't care anymore. You don't care what other people say or think. Because in this season of my life, I'm living it for me and for my husband. And there's no Joneses. There's no Joneses to keep up with. There's no Joneses next door. And they're for sure not in my home. So it is what it is. I'm not sure how well this video is going to be received. I don't have any like fancy cameras. I'm using my phone. I have a phone and a light and no editing skills, so we're gonna see what happens. I don't know. I named the channel Trainwreck Retirement because I kind of feel that like that's what it looks like. You know, one day I was working and then one day I wasn't. And it's kind of chaotic, like a train wreck. You have to figure it out as you go, and it's probably not something you've ever seen or done. So, and that's most of life. Sorry, I keep kicking the tripod. Just know that, you know, if you decide to stick around and see more videos, this channel is just going to kind of be really authentic and off the cuff. It's not scripted. It is how it is. And I, you know, hope to be able to show you, like, when things do get tight, what I personally do to kind of come up with the extra to be able to make it. And, you know, I don't own a home. We rent, which, you know, we've thought about, because, you know, we have our VA loan that we could buy a home with. But here's the thing with that is I don't have any savings. So if I buy a home and say, you know, the plumbing fails, I'm not sure how we would pay for that. And plumbing is important. And, you know, there are some things I'm willing to live without, but a bathroom isn't one of them. We live in the South, so if the air conditioning went out, I would die. Which, you know, it would make retirement cheaper, but I say that jokingly. But that's kind of where we are. And, you know, we have a decent deal. We live in an area where it's not super expensive, so we can afford where we are. And the lady that we lease from, I've been here 13 years, so she's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And that may change in the future. I don't know. Because I basically raised my kids in this house, and it's bigger than what we need right now. I have a lot of empty space with kids moving out and taking stuff. So, you know, as far as like stuff, we've already pared down to just kind of what we need to survive. But there are fun things that I want to do. You know, we're on an acre of land. I would like to learn how to garden. I've done, you know, a little bit of gardening every year for many years, and it dies a lot. So last year I planted, I think spaghetti squash, cantaloupe, some pole beans, and I think I tried some tomatoes. And the only thing that grew was watermelon. And I didn't plant watermelon, so that's confusing. But we got a couple of watermelon out of it. So hey, but I am gonna try it again this year. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll get more watermelon. But in any case, if you've made it this far, bless your heart. And thank you. And maybe comment and leave me some questions of things that, you know, you're curious about and want to know about. And I'd be happy to make another video to kind of cover whatever it is you're curious or want to know. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see if anybody subscribes. And if you're still here, just hit the thing, do the thing, and let's figure this out together. And until next time.